Franz Joseph Haydn spent 4 decades working as the music director for the Esterházy princes, an enormously rich and powerful family of Central European aristocrats centered basically in Austria and Hungary. And during those 4 decades, he gradually emerged as the most famous and respected composer in all of Europe. Well, in 1791, the Esterházy prince at that time died. And he had been Haydn's principal patron, and it turns out that his successor was no fan of music. And so the successor basically disbanded the entire musical establishment, excellent though it was, and he took his Kapellmeister, Haydn, and basically put him on a pension. And he said, you can keep the title, but we don't really expect you to be around or to do very much for us. And so Haydn, for the first time in his whole career, was free to do whatever he wanted to do. And what he ended up doing was he took a tour to England. And that's what he did. He took his first trip away from Austria and Hungary, took his first boat journey to get to England, and he settled in, and he loved his time there, and he was loved by the English as well. In fact, after he went home to Austria, he was again invited to go back for a second visit, and that also was a great success in 1795 and 96. But the C minor symphony that we hear in this is one of the symphonies that he wrote for the first visit to London. The first 6 of the London symphonies were written for that visit, the second 6 of the London symphonies for the second visit. The C minor symphony was a bit of a conundrum to the English audiences. They didn't know quite what to make of it, and indeed, it's quite different from all of the other London symphonies. This is the only one of the bunch that's written in a minor key. And people in England at that time were especially drawn towards lighthearted and happy and delightful music, so minor key was a little bit of a problem for them. They expected Haydn to be only happy and jolly and merry. Well, in fact, he's quite a diverse composer, and so the C minor symphony reveals a little bit of a different side of Haydn. Also, this symphony lacks a slow introduction, which all of the other London symphonies have. The symphony was never taken up as quite as popular as the other ones, but I'll tell you, a mature Haydn symphony is never something we have to make excuses for. And in this season, I think it's especially nice that we should be presenting this rather lesser-known C minor Symphony number 95, because Haydn died in 1809, which makes this the 200th anniversary in 2009 of his death. And it's nice that we do what we can to try to round out the picture of Haydn by presenting some of his lesser-known works as well as his famous ones.